Welcome back to my author blog where I talk about all the things that encompasses being a writer and the things that you don't necessarily see when you're holding the book in your hands. And the past several months, I've been working on this high fantasy series, right? And I finished book 5 of that series. Well, I say finished. The rough draft is done and it's ready to be taken into the first draft. I took a break from that series. I didn't know if I was going to take a break. Really didn't know until I got to the next weekend and I opened book 5 to get started, and then I stared at it and I'm like, it's not calling to me. So I'm like, maybe I do need to take a little bit of a break. So I did. And instead of working on my fantasy series, I opened that contemporary horror that has been sitting on my computer, that has been something that I've been struggling with for longer than I've been struggling with the high fantasy series. I did a revision of that contemporary horror novel. I say contemporary horror, it's really more like a romantic horror. There's a lot of romance in it too. It's like one of the main threads in the story, but there's also a lot of horror aspects. So I don't know how that's gonna pan out. I have been struggling with this horror novel for a very long time because I have rewritten it so many times and so many times, and it even spawned other books that I've written that are also just sitting. But I've always come back to this one idea that I just have never been able to pull off. And I think some of it is just because I haven't written a horror novel, horror novel before. So it kind of feels like I'm writing my first book again, because I remember writing my first fantasy book and I'm feeling a lot of the same doubts that I remember feeling. I know the pacing is off in the draft that I have finished. Oh, because I have finished the draft. Let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. I opened the contemporary horror novel last weekend because I've worked on it the past 2 weekends. I started really from the point that I had left off beforehand, which was very close to the end of the book, and I went through the ending and I finished the draft. It took me 2 weekends, really a weekend and a half, because I finished book 5 on Saturday and I started the horror on Sunday of last week, so I've had 2 weekends to really work on this book. So I have gone through this book and I have finished the draft. It feels good, but I know that this book needs so much work. It has problems. The pacing is off. I feel like there's a lot of spooky elements in the first half, but then there's more romance in the second half, and I really would like to more interlace them. And I've also just been struggling because I have tried to fit these pieces of forgotten drafts that I've done of this same story. I've been trying to splice them together, and I think the end result has always just been a struggle to get to because I stop halfway through the draft because I lose myself. I lose that pull that gets me through writing a draft. And I think because something else that I have been thinking about, because since I finished the draft, I've been thinking about the draft, that I have just been trying to make the plot too complicated. Because I'm also reading a paranormal. It's Monday. I didn't sleep good last night. Just bear with me as I flubble my words all over the place. But I'm reading a paranormal mystery right now, and it's like a ghost story set in an old creepy house, which mine is an old creepy house, haunted, blah blah blah. But I've noticed how quickly the pace is moving in this book that I'm reading, and how the elements are just being divvied out piece by piece. And I'm kind of seeing where my book falls short of that. I feel like it takes a long time to get to places, because right now the draft is setting, I think, at 97,000 words, which for me that's very normal. It's a normal number for my drafts, but I feel like for the genre it's a little long. Let me back up. One of the things that I have really struggled with this specific story idea is that I have rewritten it so many times. I have revisited it so many times, and then I have rewritten it with a different kind of premise that it was just this Frankenstein monster of like a working draft for a very long time. And I have managed finally to trim the bits that I don't need, get all of the scenes into where I think they should go within the draft, and it is finished. As in, I feel very confident in the draft that I currently have that I can make it better. I feel very confident that it can be polished into something very nice, something very readable and enjoyable. It's just going to take more work to get there. And I don't have it in me to put that work in right now. I have to be in the mood to like rough draft. And I don't always get into that mood when it's convenient. And of course, all the works in progress that I have right now are in the rough draft stage. Or they're rough drafts and they need to be turned into first drafts. And I don't. I had a thought just now that all three of the books that I am working on, yes, there is a third. I will get to that here in just a moment. I am struggling with getting the ending on the page. Like, I know what I want to happen, and I know, like, the outcome that I want to happen, but I just don't know how to get my characters there in a way that doesn't, one, draw the ending out unnecessarily, or two, doesn't feel, like, super cheap and, like, cheesy, and just, like, the thing where, like, what is it called? Deus Ex Machina, where, like, the gods come down and fix everything, and boom, everything's fixed. I don't want to do that. So I got to the ending of this horror novel and I realized that I don't have an ending. Like, I know what I want the ending to be. I just don't have, like, how am I going to get there? How am I going to lay these scenes out? I just don't have that. And I need to get in and, like, just sit down with it and not get distracted with any other projects that may be lying around and read the draft start to finish and see what it needs. I just have I don't have the time, I don't have the energy. Because I also work a full-time job and I work part-time as a teacher. So like my time is not endless. There's a lot going on, things that I have to do. Like when I get home in the evenings, I'm tired. I don't want to do stuff. My brain don't work too good after a very busy day. But this brings me to this mysterious third project that really snuck in at the last minute. I could not think about this horror book anymore, so I closed it. But and I'm not sure at what point that this other book started to creep back up into my subconscious, but it did. And it's the sequel to The Blood Enchantress, my latest book it's out, you can buy it exists. And I'm very happy with how that book turned out. I really like the world that I made, the characters, and I had the thought of taking the sister story, because really the main character of the Blood Enchantress, her story is complete. So I kind of had this very, very, very rough outline. It was more of a blurb about a second book in that series that followed the sister, because she goes through some things in book one, and so she would have kind of that she would have to get over, and just her dealing with their new lifestyle. And it was just kind of rolling around in my mind for a very long time. And here, a month or so or two ago, I wrote an outline, like a more steady outline of what that book would look like. And I have since rewritten that outline 3 times. And I have a very solid outline, like a skeleton of what this book would look like. I have my story beats. And because one of the things that bothers me about the horror book that I've been trying to write is that the pacing feels very off because I didn't have an outline. I didn't have like a set goal in mind, and I've been just trying to cobble all of these different attempts at this story together, and it's very stressed out. And I almost need someone else to go in with their red marker and be like, this is not working, get rid of this element here, this is really nice. Because I rewrote it to where, like, the main character, I can't decide if she's going to be like a ghost hunter kind of character or if she is going to be more of like the paranormal medium kind of character, because she's these both right now, and it doesn't really work. Because if she can talk to ghosts normally, why does she need an EMF detector to talk to ghosts in this other scene? Doesn't make sense. So I need to figure out how I want this character to be. And so I was frustrated with like the lack of a structure for me, an outline. And somehow I went back to this outline for like the sequel to The Blood Enchantress. And now I have a very strong outline because I spent Sunday working on this outline. And it's like a 5,000, 6,000 word outline now, because I have like a couple scenes like laid out of like, because I have her personal arc, and then I also have like her like the love interest arc, because again, this is more of like a romantic romance. I don't want to call it a romanticy because like the plot is also very strong, and I feel like my book, with it hit like the romanticy readers, a lot of them didn't like it. So I'm like, maybe it's not as much of a romanticy as I thought it was. So I've been not advertising it as a romanticy as much. It's mostly just like a romantic fantasy. We live and we learn. And now I have the 3 different works in progress that are competing for my time. Like the 3 that I am most dedicated to finishing. Because my goals for 2026 this year was to, 1, finish The Kingdom of Thorns, which is the high fantasy series. I have like a working series title, and I have several working series titles. I'm not sold on it, but the first book has been The Kingdom of Thorns for a very long time, and I don't care how many other books are named that. This is what that book is named. I can't change it now. It's ingrained. But I have the sequel to The Blood Enchantress, which isn't like a direct sequel, like a direct book 2. It just follows the sister. It's her story. There are threads from book 1 that carry over, but like I wanted to kind of have like a series where like, yes, you can read them back to back, like, in order, or you can like jump around if you wanted to. Because I have a book 3 also planned, but it's in very rough draft stage. As in, it's an idea. But I have some vacation time coming up. I didn't wait until the last minute to take my vacation time like I have in the past several years. So I have planned vacation time now, scattered throughout the year, and it's weird. But I took some time off this next weekend for my birthday, so I have a 4-day weekend coming up, and I want to spend it working on a book. But now the problem is, what project am I going to work on? Or if I'm going to spend those 4 days wiffle waffling trying to figure out what project I want to work on. I don't really get any work done on any of them. That is my fear. The failure, the not getting anything done, and then like not having anything to show for all that time. And I think it will really just depend on how I feel when I wake up on Thursday morning. Like, do I feel like getting in and like rough drafting a whole new story? Or am I gonna want to jump back into book 5 so I can finish book 5 and have that series out and in the hands of my editor? Or am I gonna want to jump back into the horror to get it straightened up? I don't know. I have a week in June also. So if I don't get something done that I wanted to get done, I can always get it done later. But that has really been my writing update. It's been productive. I have gotten things done. Like, it has been a very productive couple of weekends. Because book 5, it is done. It's in draft 0 stage because it's still a little rough. The beginning is fantastic. I really like the opening, like the act 1 of that book. I'm very proud of how it turned out. And it needs, straightening up and revised, but either way, the bones are very nice. The horror, I see the potential. It just needs a lot of work. Needs some TLC. And book 2 to The Blood Enchantress, I want to. Well, one of my goals was to finish it, to have it like at least in like a first draft stage by the end of the year. And sometimes things just don't happen like we intend them to. It's fine. So I don't know what project is going to get done first, which one I'm going to fall into next. I don't know. That's the fun part of being an author. It is going to depend on how I feel when I wake up on Thursday morning. So whenever I do my next one of these, I will let you know how it turned out, and if I finished any of them or just got a little bit of done on all of them. Who knows? But thank you for joining me on this little writer vlog. You go get yourself a nice hot cup of tea, read a book, think about a book. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you in the next vlog when I report back on either of the success or a failure.